So Dragon Ball Daima has given us a canon look at what the Demon Realm looks like, but this isn't really new territory for Dragon Ball. The concept of a world full of demons has been lurking in the series for ages, way before Daima introduced us to the three demon worlds, Degisu, or even before Dabura himself. Think of it like the Clone Wars in Star Wars. We knew it existed because of a line from Obi-Wan, but we didn't really know what it meant. We only had various authors' interpretations of what it could be. And just like those early references to the Clone Wars, early interpretations to the Demon Realm were, well, let's just say they left room for improvement. So let's go back in time and explore just how the Demon Realm was depicted before Daima showed us a canon view of it, from filler episodes to video game lore. This mysterious dimension has had quite a journey, and some of it is hilariously bizarre. The Demon Realm has been lurking in the shadows of Dragon Ball since its very first series, even if it didn't get the spotlight until much later on. Its first appearance was on episode 81 of the original Dragon Ball anime, Goku Goes to Demon Land. Yes, that's the actual title. They didn't really hold back, huh? It takes place during the 3 years of training before the 22nd World Tournament, as Goku travels the world without the Flying Nimbus. This filler episode introduces us to the Demon Realm Gate, a portal between the human world and the demon world. Shula, the self-proclaimed demon lord and martial artist, decided that it would be a good idea to wedge the gate open with his cursed sword, introducing the idea of magic beyond ki early on. But why did he do this? Because he wanted to marry a 10-year-old princess. Naturally, Goku, who's never met a problem he couldn't punch, jumps right into the demon realm to save the princess. Along the way, he meets Melee and Gola, two demon guards who actually help Goku get away. Goku then fights Shula in a fighting ring. Whoever beats Shula in battle will be able to overcome the curse and remove the sword, closing the portal between the two worlds and stopping the demons from running rampant. But Shula is no pushover, and Goku is quickly outmatched. The fight gets tense until Goku pulls off a Kamehameha that blinds Shula and his crew for just long enough for Goku to grab the princess and shut the portal. He then removes the sword, closing the gate and stopping the demons from escaping. It's a fun little side story that reminds us that Goku still had a lot of training to do, but it doesn't really fit in with what we know now. Here's where things get a little murky. Did Toriyama remember or even know this filler episode existed when creating Dabura and his backstory in the Buu arc? We do know that Toriyama gave ideas to the team for anime filler, like Launch chasing after Tien, Yamcha playing baseball, and the creation of Gregory. He also did watch the anime with his kids, so it's entirely possible that he saw this episode and thought, yeah, I can work with this later on. Or maybe it was just a happy coincidence. More than likely, it's the latter, since the concept of the demon realm is a pretty generic and obvious thing to do in shonen manga. Yu Yu Hakusho, for example, has its own version of it. The concept of it is also just practically baked into Japanese folklore. It's no wonder the anime team used it for filler. They probably didn't think that it would actually become a thing later on. What we do know is that the filler story doesn't quite align with canon now. For example, Melee, one of Shula's minions, claims that only people granted permission by Kami and Yema can pass on to the demon realm. These are funny name drops since they would actually become characters later on. Daima also establishes that the demon realm is actually accessible through the mortal realm and doesn't seem to have much relation to Otherworld. There's also something similar depicted in the second Dragon Ball movie, Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle. There, Goku and the others go into the Devil's Castle, the home of Lucifer and his demons. It's a similar idea to the demon realm, a place ruled by monsters and ogres, and Lucifer himself is called a Demon King. More importantly, later on, Demon King Piccolo would become one of the main adversaries in the series. He's called a Demon King, he spawns monsters, and those killed by him can never go to Otherworld. For the longest time, it seemed like this was just a one-off idea that Toriyama had, and was eventually kind of retconned when Piccolo and Kami turned out to be Namekians, aka aliens. Now with Dragon Ball Daima, we know that they did originate from the demon realm, so the title of Demon King Piccolo had does have more weight to it. Still, the idea of the demon realm was really nebulous. That was until 1993. Dabura's introduction in the Buu arc is where we finally get our first fully canon mention of the demon realm itself in Dragon Ball. He was first introduced in chapter 446 of the manga as the Supreme Demon King. Dabura is supposed to rule over this mysterious place, but by the time we meet him, he's already been Babidi's mind control lackey for 300 years. Honestly, it's kind of wild to think about. Imagine being the ruler of an entire realm and then spending 3 centuries taking order from a guy whose big plan involves a pink blob eating everything. Talk about a career downgrade. Goku mentions that he's as strong as Cell, and Kaioshin is completely terrified of him. Honestly, it's kinda crazy that Dabura was so willing to fight Majin Buu and just insult him over and over. After all, he should know what he was capable of, since a apparently he caused chaos all over the Demon Realm, killing off the majority of the Glint. But then again, that was Kid Buu and not this giant baby, so I kinda get it. Dabora's connection to the Demon Realm really doesn't get much elaboration in the saga. During his fight against Gohan, Dabora asks Babidi to teleport them to a planet with an environment similar to Earth. This isn't the Demon Realm. A lot of fans think it is, even I thought it was. I could have sworn that he said, "Take me to a place similar to the Demon Realm," but he doesn't. Video games, however, sometimes call it that, like Buu's Fury, where it is explicitly called the Demon World, and it does look kinda similar to the third Demon World. Daima's fleshing out of the Demon Realm finally gives context as to why Shin was so terrified of him. After all, he actually lived under his and perhaps his father's rule, where the Dragon Balls, the evil Third Eye, and Majin Buu caused chaos. What's interesting is how various authors have tried to tie Dabora back into earlier filler lore. Both him and Shular are listed as members of the Demon Realm race in the Daisenshu 7 character dictionary, connecting the dots between canon and non-canon stories. We see this further explored in a really weird place, Dokkan Battle. Besides the game's power creep and me never pulling Beast Gohan, the game actually has a story mode. Yeah, believe it or not, adventure mode is more than just a way to get free stones. In Area 18 of the main story, the epic attack and defense, dimensional distortions mess up the barrier separating the Demon Realm from the rest of the universe. So Shula, Melee, and Gola decide that it's the perfect time to make their move. Their goal? To find their long-lost Supreme Demon King, Dabora. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool that the game tried to connect the two ideas of the Demon Realm in this way. Shula and the others being actual followers of Dabora makes sense. They've been trying to bring him back since the Demon Realm has been without a ruler, and it's brought chaos to it. Shula fights the player once he finds out that Melee and Gola were seeking Goku's help. He acknowledges our power and goes away until later, when Shula and Melee appear once more. This is after we've already fought Dabora, revived Buu, and even took down Super 17. Melee thinks that the reason there's been crazy dimensional rifts is because the Demon Realm is without a king, and without the Demon Realm, the balance of the universe has shifted. The game also mentions that Dabora has been missing for a few hundred years, but the Daisenshu clears up the timeline. Babidi took control of Dabora on age 474, and the Buu saga takes place on age 774. Once the Z anime wrapped up, interviews from Akira Toriyama became one of the few ways fans got information about the Demon Realm. In one interview, Toriyama mentioned that the Demon Realm was located at the very bottom tip of the universe map. It's like a basement of the Dragon Ball multiverse, dark, creepy, and probably filled with questionable smells. However, with Dragon Ball Daima Episode 10 now revealing that the Demon Realm existed before the universes themselves, this whole bottom tip thing might need a little bit of an update. Apparently, the Demon Realm has been around long before the universes, which makes it feel less like a basement and more like the creepy foundation your house was built on. Toriyama also described the Demon Realm as being a small hideout where mages reside. This does kinda track with what we've seen. Compared to the 12 universes, the Demon Realm seems tiny. He does mention that the Demon Realm is split between several different spatial areas, an idea that's now been fully realized with the 3 separate demon worlds. Daisenshu 7 also describes it as a place where magic is more influential than science. So we see his Daima vision for the Demon Realm slowly taking shape in these outside materials. Then there's the 2009 super exciting guide, where Toriyama revealed that the Demon Realm is home to the Makaio and Makaioshin, who are essentially dark side equivalents of the Kais. The Makaioshin are said to be cast away from the core world and into the Demon Realm for being born bad, which is kinda messed up. Also, all the Kaioshin are born from trees like fruit. Normal fruit become King Kais, while special golden fruit becomes Supreme Kais. While Daima keeps the ideas of Kais coming from trees, the core world is now in the Demon Realm itself. So you can't really cast away someone into the Demon Realm if you already live there. Maybe they're instead cast into the first Demon Realm, or something like that. In Daima, Degisu and Arinsu seem to fit the mold of the Makaioshin, though the anime doesn't outright confirm this. Similarly, Dragon Ball Heroes has a character named Demigra, who does also seem to qualify as a Makaioshin, but I don't think they've been explicitly called that. Speaking of Heroes, its main inspiration was Dragon Ball Online. This MMORPG, which quietly came and went, feels like the Dragon Ball version of a pilot episode that didn't get picked up, only for its best ideas to be recycled into bigger, flashier spin-offs. I have a video all about it if you're interested. It introduced us us to the infamous Demon Realm duo, Towa and Mira, who would go on to become major players in Heroes, Xenoverse, and even make cameos in Kakarot. Online also gave us Time Patrol Trunks, the first mention of the Kaioshin of Time, and a surprising amount of lore, including New Namek being destroyed by Mira and Towa, and all the Namekians relocating to Earth. A portion of those Namekians relocated to Ishuri's Lake, the place where King Piccolo had his throne originally, and where he was sealed away. The lingering essence of the Demon King Piccolo corrupted those Namekians. They even have their own eternal dragon called Mr. Poco Poco. This isn't really related to the Demon Realm, but it is to Demon King Piccolo. And like I said before, Namekians do come from the Demon Realm. So all of this kinda builds up to make some pretty interesting lore. Toriyama himself supervised the game and had a surprising amount of creative control. The game takes place 250 years after the original manga ends, a distant future where Dabora's younger sister, the evil scientist Towa, and her bio-android husband Mira wreak havoc. Online mentions that Towa betrayed the Demon Realm and was banished. To get revenge, founded the Timebreakers, and eventually had a son, Fu, though he's only briefly mentioned and wouldn't appear until Heroes. The Timebreakers' goal was the same as it is now in Heroes and Xenoverse: distort time, brainwash fighters, and collect Killy energy for their schemes. There were even more members of the Timebreakers who didn't make the leap into Heroes, like July, a female bio-android similar to Mira, and the Majin twins Haru Haru and Shun Shun. What's fascinating is how Daima seems to echo some of these ideas. Dr. Adensu, a brilliant demon scientist in Daima, creates bioweapons much like Towa, and her ally, Glorio, bears a striking resemblance to Mira. This doesn't feel like a coincidence. Daiki Miki, the original designer of Mira and Towa, once said that Toriyama was quite fond of them. With how Toriyama reworked Broly for Dragon Ball Super, it's entirely possible that Adensu and Glorio were his own reinterpretations of Mira and Towa for Daima. While Online quietly faded away, its DNA lives on in Heroes. From Towa and Mira, to the Time Patrol and the Supreme Kai of Time, one of my personal favorites is Shokulai Tower. Picture this, an evil version of Korin Tower, complete with a sinister cat named Shokulai who grows dark senzu beans. Yeah, evil senzu beans. The design of Shokulai Tower even gets reused in Heroes for Mechikabora's Tower. I bring this up specifically because the castle of the Supreme Demon King seems to take inspiration from Shokulai Tower as well, with architecture being built into trees as a major motif. There's also artwork of Baby Fu in a guidebook, teasing that he'll have big influence in the world when he grows up. Spoiler alert, he definitely does, but not until Heroes. Sadly, Online ended before he could be introduced. Dragon Ball Heroes is where the Demon Realm really goes from a vague concept to a fully realized location with its own lore. We're introduced to characters like Gravy, Poutine, Demigra, Robelu, Mechikabura, etc, etc. There's even Finn, a Majin android created by Towa. We've recently seen something similar when Dr. Adensu recreated Buu with Majin Ku and Du. Towa and Mira return as antagonists, but their motivations shift slightly. Instead of betraying the Demon Realm like in Online, they focus on meddling with time and space to release the Demon Realm seal and take over the universe. Their strategy is still brainwashing fighters and gathering Killy. Some things never really change. The Demon Realm in Heroes is as dark and gloomy as you'd expect, with its crimson-purple skies, barren wastelands, and an aesthetic that screams Hot Topic but make it Dragon Ball. It does resemble the eerie terrain Babidi teleports Dabura and Gohan to during the Buu arc. With Daima, however, the Demon Realm has been reimagined into 3 separate worlds. The third Demon World is pretty dingy. Think of Tatooine from Star Wars. The second one seems to be more for the elite, and largely covered in water. However, the first Demon World's crimson, rocky landscapes do bear a striking resemblance to the Heroes version. The entangled, tree-like structures and ominous vibe seem like a clear nod to what we saw there. Like the design team said, what if we kept the dark edge but made it fit into Toriyama's colorful yet creepy style? Not only that, but the idea of a new set of Demon Realm Dragon Balls was first introduced in Heroes, with the Dark Dragon Balls. They also require a fight against an opponent to collect them, since they're attached to the chest of a villain, much like the Tamagami. But unlike the Tamagami, who are there specifically to protect the Dragon Balls, these dark versions of them are instead scattered through space and time, attaching themselves to villains from the past, and powering them up. Though both sets are being sought after by the villains and heroes. The Dragon Ball Heroes version were created by Dende, who was kidnapped and mind-controlled to create them, while the new ones were created by a brand new Namekian named Neva. And though in Daima Dende hasn't been mind-controlled, he was kidnapped, and Goma brings up the idea of forcing him to create a new Dragon Dragon Ball set just for them. So there's quite a few things connecting them. The Demon Realm has popped up in other games though, like Dragon Ball Fusions. This quirky RPG introduced a few new members of the Demon Realm race, including Magma, who also appears in the Fusions manga, and Pipila, a Demon Realm idol. Yes, even demons need an idol group. Because why not? Then there's Mirayo, a former queen of the Demon Realm. Was she Dabora's ex-wife? His rival? The queen of Demon TikTok? Who knows? They're really just random NPCs to fuse with and fight. It's fascinating to see how different creators envisioned the Demon Realm over the years. While Daima reimagines it as a sleazy, chaotic underground that feels like it could host a cantina from Star Wars, earlier depictions leaned into the dark and edgy underworld aesthetic. Power-ups, red skies, and brooding designs have been swept out for something brighter, more colorful, and surprisingly rich in lore. It makes you wonder, did the success of Heroes and its sprawling lore ultimately clash too much with Toriyama's evolving vision? Is that why Heroes recently ended despite the years of success? Could these two versions of the Demon Realm ever coexist? Or are Mira, Towa, and the edgy Demon Realm we knew officially retired? Only time will tell, but it's clear that the Demon Realm's transformation mirrors how Dragon Ball itself has evolved. If nothing else, it's fascinating to see the ideas of what other authors, besides Toriyama himself, had in mind for this mysterious place. All they had to draw on was a handful of lines after all. Like I said earlier, it's very similar to the Clone Wars. Everyone had their own vision of it, but Daima finally gives us the official version. Whether you're a fan of the dark, brooding aesthetic of Heroes, or the vibrant chaos of Daima, there's something to love in how Dragon Ball keeps surprising us. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe. And if you're looking for more Dragon Ball facts, check out my video explaining every single set of Dragon Balls in the series.